Jiro Ono. The name itself is legendary in the food world. Think about it. This man is almost a century old, 99 years young as of 2025. And what's he doing? He's still dreaming of sushi. Not just dreaming, but living it, breathing it every single day. Jiro, he's likely still critiquing the way rice is fanned, the precise temperature of the fish, the exact pressure of the hand forming the nigiri. It's an obsession, but the kind of obsession that changes an entire craft. His pursuit of the perfect piece of sushi is relentless. It's a journey with no final destination, because for Jiro, perfection is always just out of reach. Something to strive for tomorrow and the day after that. This isn't just about making food, it's about an art form honed over 80 long years. Imagine dedicating your entire existence to one single thing, aiming to elevate it beyond what anyone thought possible. We're going to dive into that journey, the good, the bad, and the delicious. Jiro Ono's story doesn't start in a fancy culinary school, forget that. His beginnings were tough, really tough. He was born in 1925 in a small town in Shizuoka Prefecture, a coastal area of Japan. This wasn't a childhood filled with playful days and parental coddling, far from it. Life threw him a curveball early on. When he was just 7 years old, his father walked out on the family, just like that, gone. This event wasn't just an emotional blow. It was an economic earthquake for young Jiro and his mother. He had to grow up fast, real fast. The absence of his father meant there was no safety net. He often says he was told, "You have no home to come back to." Think about hearing that as a kid. It's brutal. It meant he had to make his own way, rely on himself entirely. There was no room for error, no second chances. This kind of upbringing instills a certain kind of resilience, a hardness even. It shapes your worldview, makes you understand the value of hard work from an age when most kids are just learning to tie their shoes. Starting an apprenticeship at 9 years old in pre-war Japan was no walk in the park. It was a world away from what we understand as childhood. Jiro wasn't learning to make elaborate sushi rolls from day one. No sir. The traditional Japanese apprenticeship system, especially back then, was incredibly hierarchical and demanding. It was about discipline, observation, and endless repetition of the most basic tasks. For years, an apprentice might not even be allowed to touch the fish, let alone prepare it for customers. It was a test of patience and commitment. Imagine the scene, a young boy far from home, working incredibly long hours. He'd be cleaning, scrubbing, running errands, and maybe, just maybe, learning how to prepare the hot towels for customers correctly. It sounds mundane, but every task had a purpose. It was about instilling respect for the process, for the environment, and for the masters. Jiro spent years mastering tasks like preparing the rice, learning the exact feel, temperature, and seasoning. This wasn't just cooking, it was an almost spiritual dedication to each component, no matter how small it seemed. The discipline was severe. After years and years of toiling as an apprentice and then working for others, Jiro Ono finally took the plunge. In 1965 he opened his own restaurant, Sukiyabashi Jiro. Now if you're picturing some grand, opulent establishment, think again. This place is the opposite of flashy. It's a tiny 10-seat counter located in the basement of an office building, right next to the Ginza subway station in Tokyo. You could easily walk past it 100 times and never know a temple of culinary perfection was hidden down there. It's almost aggressively unpretentious in its setting. The decision to open such a small, focused restaurant was deliberate. Jiro wasn't interested in managing a large staff or a complex menu. He wanted complete control over every single element of the dining experience. The minimalist design of the restaurant reflects this philosophy. There are no distractions, no fancy artwork on the walls, no elaborate table settings, just a simple wooden counter, and the stage where Jiro and his team perform their magic. The focus is entirely on the sushi, on the interaction between the chef, the ingredients, and the guest. At the heart of Jiro Ono's entire life and work is the concept of. This Japanese term doesn't have a perfect English equivalent. It means more than just artisan or craftsman. It implies a deep sense of duty and a spiritual commitment to one's profession, striving for perfection not for fame or fortune, but for the sake of the craft itself. A shokunin dedicates their life to improving their skills, to reaching a higher level of mastery every single day. This philosophy is the engine that drives Jiro even in his late 90s. It's a profound way of looking at work. For Jiro, being a shokunin means an unending quest for improvement. He famously says, "All I want to do is make better sushi." Even after decades of accolades, he believes he hasn't reached perfection. This mindset is incredible. It means constantly re-evaluating every step of the process. How can the rice be cooked better? How can the fish be sliced more precisely? How can the balance of flavors be even more harmonious? It's a daily examination of his own work, a relentless self-critique. This isn't a job, it's a calling, a way of life that demands total immersion. This philosophy manifests in meticulous rituals. Section 6: 3 stars reaching a culinary summit. For many chefs, earning even one Michelin star is a career-defining achievement. Sukiyabashi Jiro, under the unwavering hand of Jiro Ono, achieved something even more extraordinary. In 2007, when the Michelin Guide first launched its Tokyo edition, Jiro's tiny subway station restaurant was awarded the coveted 3 stars. This is the highest honor Michelin bestows, signifying exceptional cuisine, worth a special journey. It was a monumental moment, not just for Jiro, but for the global perception of sushi as a high culinary art form. Receiving 3 Michelin stars catapulted Sukiyabashi Jiro from a revered local institution to an international phenomenon. Suddenly, this 10-seat counter was on the radar of gourmands worldwide. The demand for reservations, already high, became astronomical. The pressure that comes with such an accolade is immense. Every meal, every piece of sushi is scrutinized against the highest possible standard. For Jiro, however, it seemed to change little about his daily routine or his core philosophy. Section 7: A legend goes global. If the Michelin stars put Sukiyabashi Jiro on the international map, the 2011 documentary blasted his story into the stratosphere. Directed by David Gelb, this beautifully shot film offered an intimate look into Jiro Ono's life, his philosophy, and the intense world of his restaurant. It wasn't just a food documentary, it was a meditation on work, family, and the pursuit of perfection. Suddenly, Jiro Ono wasn't just a name whispered among food critics, he became a household name for anyone interested in craftsmanship and dedication. The film had a massive cultural impact. It introduced millions of people around the world to the concept of shokunin and the almost spiritual devotion Jiro has for his craft. Viewers were captivated by his unwavering focus, his meticulous methods, and the sheer artistry involved in creating each piece of sushi. The documentary highlighted the intense training of his apprentices, including his elder son, Yoshikazu, who is his heir apparent. It showed the pressure, the repetition, and the immense respect for the master. It made the abstract idea of perfectionism tangible and human, albeit an extreme version of it. Thanks to the documentary, Sukiyabashi Jiro became even more of a pilgrimage site. High-profile visitors, from celebrities to world leaders like President Barack Obama, made a point to dine there, further cementing its legendary status. The film turned Jiro into a global icon of culinary excellence. It also sparked countless discussions about work ethic, passion, and what it truly means to master something. Section 8: The Weight of Perfection, Scrutiny and Sacrifice. While Jiro Ono is widely admired, his path and his restaurant are not without criticism. The intense exclusivity of Sukiyabashi Jiro is a major point of contention. The high price point puts it far out of reach for most people. Securing a reservation is notoriously difficult, often requiring connections or expensive concierge services. This has led to accusations of elitism, that Jiro's art is only accessible to a privileged few. Jiro's relentless perfectionism has a demanding side. The pressure on his apprentices, and indeed on his sons, is immense. The documentary hinted at the years of toil and sacrifices they must meet. Jiro himself has reflected on his strictness, acknowledging that he was a demanding father and a largely absent one. This raises questions about the personal cost of such singular dedication. Is ultimate professional success worth the sacrifices in other areas of life? Jiro's own words sometimes reveal the burden of his pursuit. He has spoken about the constant anxiety of maintaining quality, the fear of disappointing customers. This isn't a joyful, carefree passion, it's a heavy responsibility, a self-imposed demand for flawlessness. Section 9: Jiro's Echo, a legacy carved in dedication. Jiro Ono's impact on the culinary world is undeniable and will resonate for generations. He didn't just make sushi, he elevated it to a globally recognized art form, setting a benchmark for quality and dedication. His relentless pursuit of perfection has inspired countless chefs across all culinary disciplines. He showed the world what it means to be a true shokunin, dedicating one's life to mastering a single craft. This ethos is perhaps his most powerful legacy. His influence extends far beyond his tiny restaurant. The principles he embodies, meticulous attention to detail, respect for ingredients, continuous self-improvement, and discipline, are timeless lessons for anyone striving for excellence. He has become a symbol of Japanese craftsmanship and the satisfaction from a life devoted to doing one thing exceptionally well. The continuation of his legacy now rests on his sons. Yoshikazu, at the main Ginza restaurant, has been meticulously trained to uphold the Tsukiyobashi Jiro standard. Takashi has carved out his own successful path with his branch. The challenge for them is immense: to maintain the legendary quality and spirit while adapting to a changing world. The Jiro name carries enormous weight, a blessing and a burden.